Hello, my name is Lisa, and I'm here today with Mark, and
Hi.
I'll let him introduce himself. We're going to do just a little talk about doing street epistemology with the Mormon missionaries, or Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints missionaries, representatives, and because Mark has done it a few times, and I've met with the missionaries a few times here in Salt Lake City, and I've recorded it as well, but I haven't posted it because I have not done that. But anyways, Mark has. Mark, can you introduce yourself? Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm Mark. And I guess like pretty recently, I don't know, it's maybe a few months, so within a year, then I've started considering myself from being a Latter-day Saint to atheist. I've kind of re-identified it as that. And so I started talking with missionaries. They contacted me initially, and I was just like, I was struggling with um just managing that relationship with the church and like what I want to do with that and how I wanted to be talking with missionaries, if I wanted to be talking with missionaries. And so I kind of found street epistemology. I've heard of it before that. I got involved with Anthony Bosco's videos. But I started getting really involved when it was just like all of a sudden I found that I was going to be having to have a lot of these types of conversations now that like my
Mhm.
entire family is very different worldview than me. And so I was like, I really need to start building the skills and started like really heavily investing in street epistemology media, started on the Discord,
Yeah.
and that's kind of how I got involved with this.
Yeah, that's really cool. Can you spend a minute or two, tell us about your upbringing? Like, were you born into the church or like what's your background?
Yeah, I was born to the church. Like my entire extended family and my family was all LDS,
Hmm.
and like um I think my family is awesome. Like I think I think they're super cool. And like one of the things that
Hmm.
we've done a lot is like we just talk a lot about um just having conversations, asking questions and talking about the church and like what do we think like could improve, what are some like cultural problems with the church and stuff like that. Like we have these conversations all the time, and it's just like entire like extended family will go and meet with them and talk with the family, and we just like to talk a lot. And so I feel like that's something that um you know what, I just forgot the question.
Just your history and your background with the church, being raised in the church, your family dynamics. Like,
Oh
sounds
yes,
like
okay.
they're all active still. Are
Yes,
you
yeah,
the only
all of
one
them.
who is
So my brother actually left before me. He
older or
was
younger?
probably, yeah, older brother. Yeah, and so
Uh-huh.
I would say he's probably the first person who introduced me even like I mean I knew the concept of atheism, but
Right.
like I was like, wow, like you are an atheist. And like he had a book, God Delusion by Richard Dawkins, that I just kind of found in one of his drawers, and I started reading it and I was like, oh, interesting. And then when he left the church and he identified as an atheist, and I would like call him up every now and then to try to talk about this with him, because
Yeah.
it was just like I don't like for me it's very much like I feel like I've always been interested in talking with people and seeing people's perspectives. I feel like that's really interesting to me. And um and I guess it was just like I wanted to like preserve our relationship and like not have this be like an elephant that we just like hide type of a thing.
Right.
And so I wanted to like
Just
try to
avoid.
intentionally discover, like intentionally, yeah, exactly, that it's like I wanted to intentionally like have these conversations, even though it would be hard, to like see if I could navigate that and like not have to be like walking on eggshells when I was around him. Because I feel like like me and my brother have always been really close, and so like that was just like a wrench in it. And then so I've talked with him a lot. He would like suggest different like media to listen to. Like he offered up Atheist Experience, and so I started listening to that for
Yeah.
a bit. And I think through a combination of just like my own research, because it was interesting to me just separately of like just having a relationship with him,
Yeah.
then but also just like through talking with him, I feel like he um like being able to talk with him and just ask questions directly rather than just consuming media, I think was really gave me some new insights of atheists being like real people rather than a stereotype or like a anti religion people, like
Yeah.
like I feel like
Yeah.
it kind of shifted from that. And so
Because in the
um
church, you do get the like atheists are labeled as like evil people who are trying to
right,
have
yeah.
an agenda, have some kind of goals to to tear down church in
Right, there
general.
definitely is that sentiment that it's like,
But
yeah, exactly.
at least where I grew up, it was like that. So
Yeah, I think that definitely is a
kind of a
sentiment,
bad
and
name.
I anticipate that's probably a common sentiment throughout the church. But at least it was a common, it was an experience for me too. You know,
Mm-hmm.
like I had the lesson where they like took a puzzle and they like dumped it all over the floor, and they're like, "This is what atheists think, is that this is all just like a random thing. They dump the puzzles out and just happen,
Yes.
you know."
Yeah.
And
Aren't
so
they
it's like,
stupid? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. It's a weird thing. Such a misrepresentation. I now that I know a little more about it. Okay, so that's cool. You were able to talk to your older brother, and he was like a point of contact, like a safe place you could ask questions and not
yeah.
worry about stuff. Yeah. How about the rest of your family? Like parents? Do you have younger siblings as well?
Yeah. So I've got two younger sisters and two older sisters, and then one older
Mhm.
brother.
Okay. Big
Yeah,
family.
and yeah, I would say that like my mom has probably been someone that I've like talked to a lot about this. That like for me, I was like when I first talked with Jason, I'm not sure if I should have said his name out loud, but I'm sure no one you're not going to find him. Anyway,
Yeah.
when I first talked with my brother, um then I like for me it was like a faith crisis worry, right? It's like I don't want to like have this pull. I want to keep this relationship. I don't want my testimony to be pulled away. And so I was like,
Right.
what if I just like enlisted my mom then to like keep me
Hmm.
when I listened to atheist experience, I was like, hey, I'm gonna be listening to atheist experience. You want to listen to it with me? So that way like we can like have each other's backs type of things. Like one person
Right.
like feeling um like they have to hide this now that they've got some new information or whatever. And so
That's
I would do that
awesome.
with my
Yeah.
mom a lot, and she was like very much on board with this because she was like, yep, you want to have a good
You can
relationship with
talk
your brother,
about the things
yeah,
and
and let's talk
discuss
about
the
things and not have
issues.
it be a
Yeah.
hidden thing.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I think that was really awesome that like she was on board with this, and we would talk a lot about just like different questions that were coming up through this. And so that was, I think, a really a really awesome point, a really awesome thing, I guess.
Yeah. That's really
That
cool
she
that
was
she was
willing to do
willing to
that
do
and be
that.
on board with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I bet a lot of LDS moms or dads, parents would not even consider that and probably discourage their children from doing it as well. So that's super cool.
Yeah.
Um, so can I ask, did you go on a mission yourself?
I didn't. I always wanted to though. It was always like it's just in this category of stuff that I've always been interested in, of like of talking with people and like meaning and like making the world a better place type of a thing.
Yeah.
I did a lot of missionary prep, and I like read the Preach My Gospel, and I was like really preparing for this. But then it just
Yeah.
got to like when I was about ready to go, then I started like having a bit of a faith crisis
Okay.
where, and it was like,
Because
oh
I have
no,
no idea how old you are either. So I
oh
don't know.
yeah, I'm about
All right.
I'm 22.
Okay. I didn't want to
Yeah,
pressure you into sharing if you don't want to, but okay.
yeah,
So you're 22.
that's okay.
You could have gone.
Yes, I could have gone, but I was just like like it was a point where like I could see it from like my brother's perspective, that if like going on a mission from one perspective, it could be like um an intent to good could like backfire and do bad. And it was like I wanted to be like very sure that this is a good thing to do. Like I wanted to like really like be solid on this before going. And so I decided to take a few more years, like go to college for a bit, and I would just
Uh-huh.
like keep working through some of these issues and like try to get some more certainty. And eventually I was just I really wanted to this. I really wanted to like figure this out and like get a firm testimony so I can go on my mission. But then eventually just kept on
Mhm.
going the opposite direction. And then finally it was just like, you know what? I think I'm an atheist. That sucks. Now I don't get to go on my mission. Shoot. And so
Yeah.
yeah, so
Ooh.
that's kind of how that ended up turning out.
So you're saying that pursuing truth is really something that you value and is important. It
Yeah.
sounds like.
Hmm.
And you wanted to know for sure before you go.
Yeah.
And why didn't you just go down the path that a lot of other pre-missionary kids do, of praying about it and then gaining their testimony that way by Moroni's promise? Why didn't that work for you?
um I think that that's one that I feel like my relationship with the church has always been a little bit different than I feel like most people. Like for me, then like the distinction between like culture and doctrine has like somehow it is like it just feels, it felt like more intuitive, I guess. Like when I hear people talk about, I remember like for the longest time then, like when people would say things like they would talk about faith and it's like you should just continue to believe it, then
Yes.
it would just be like that doesn't make sense, and I would
Choose to
attribute it to
believe.
like people aren't articulating this very well. Like you guys are really not explaining this well. There's some other definition of faith that's better, you know, like I would kind of think of things in that way.
Hmm.
And so when people said like don't listen to anti-Mormon media, then I would be like, okay, that's silly. Like what you're trying to say is sometimes we can watch something that is confusing and not be ready for it, not understand it, and then like it'll be like this big shock, and then we won't know what to do about this, you know, like there's some
Right.
danger here, but like to treat this as like people are against the church rather than just ex-Mormon. Like I feel like for me, I was just like, I don't think that's a good way of saying that. I think there's some more nuance to here. So I feel like I was more comfortable with like cautiously watching ex-Mormon media.
Uh-huh.
um
Cautiously is a good qualifying word. Yeah.
right, yeah, I would like kind of cautiously do that. And so
But
I
you
get
can't dive in head first or anything. You do have to be cautious about it because it's discouraged. So yeah, go on.
yeah, yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to catch my train of thought again. Okay, so we were talking
Yeah.
about the Moroni's promise, and so for me then, um the spirit, then like people always talk about how like you'll know that the church is true by the spirit, and I would be like for me, I can't really reference, I think I definitely did feel the spirit when reading the Book of Mormon, but the thing is the way
Mhm.
people talked about it was as if this was like knowledge injected straight into your head, and
Yes. Yes.
instead of just a feeling. And it's just like for me it was just like I always just assumed that either people were just like articulating this really badly or somehow like people actually are getting knowledge beamed into their head, but based on talking with people it's like I don't think this is really it. I think people are just articulating this bad as like this feels right, and so I'm going with it, you know, that it feels right, and
Yeah.
so like that's why we do this. And it's not like, and then when people go up and they say like I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the church is true, I was just be like, okay, these guys are just kind of like being like expressing their commitment to this. They're expressing like how strongly they're committed to the church, but it's like
Mhm, mhm.
they don't need to be saying it this way, you know? And so
Yeah.
I often thought of things in those terms. And so like the promise of the spirit when reading the Book of Mormon, it wasn't
Yeah.
as strong of a thing for me. It was like I do feel the spirit when I read the Book of Mormon, but like that's really not it doesn't mean too much other than this feels right, and it's like one contributing factor type of a thing.
Mhm. Yeah. And you do hear that every testimony meeting too. I feel it. I know it's true with every fiber of my being. I know
Yeah,
because I know, and it didn't come from me. I know it wasn't from me. It had to be the Holy Ghost telling me that this is true. And that's their epistemology. They know it's true because of that. And they were told that feeling equals the church is true. And it's a leap I can no longer make, but
yeah.
a lot of people are fine with it still. So do you talk about this stuff with your
It's
family?
like
Yeah. What
I
were you
try
gonna
to. Yeah, I try to. Sorry, like it's crazy because like with the spirit, like I think of it like with just like any sort of like fear or anxiety, like sometimes like you're just in an emotional state. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just like I'm in danger. I'm in danger. I just know I'm in danger, right? And it's just like it just
Yeah.
feels so intuitively clear to you. And no matter how many people tried to argue, like if the kids like there's a monster in my bed, it's like it doesn't matter how much
Yeah.
you try to argue this out, that it's like no, there isn't a monster in your bed. How do your epistemology is wrong here? It's just like no, I know there's a
Uh-huh.
monster in my bed because I'm feeling fear. You know, it's
Because
just
I
like it
can
feels so
feel it. Mhm.
intuitive. Exactly, yeah. And so
Yeah.
it's really difficult to like get to a place where you could even like consider that as an option, like to tell a kid that they you can be feeling fear and thinking that there's a monster under the bed, and not actually have a
But
monster under
there
the bed. It's so
isn't.
difficult. Yeah, exactly. It's like it's so difficult to see that as like an
Mhm.
option.
Yeah, because it's an irrational thought. It's Well, that a fear like that would be like a phobia or something where it isn't based on reality. It's just, but you feel it so strong and it's so real. And where that came from, I don't think it's the spirit anymore, but who seems like pretty normal biological reaction to emotional stimulus, but I'm no expert by any means.
Yeah.
Um, and I think back to like when I initially got my testimony for the first time, and I was a pregnant 19-year-old who was fasting to gain a testimony and who hadn't been sleeping. So, not eating, not sleeping, pregnancy hormones. And then I'm praying to know if the church is true. And like, it's no wonder I had this overwhelming emotional reaction. And then I used that the rest of my life to confirm, oh, yeah, well, I can't deny the church is true because I had that experience. And, what was that experience? I'm not going to claim I know.
Yeah.
Back to missionaries. I don't want to talk about myself. I want to hear about you. Okay, so you're at this point. What brings you to start considering talking to missionaries?
Yeah, I think
What's your process?
yeah, so like I actually for when so I started talking to the missionaries because they were contacting me. And so like when I was still considering myself LDS, it was probably about a year of missionaries. Like I stopped attending church every now and then because I was having anxiety issues. Like I was having extreme like social anxiety. I found out that I have ADHD. And so this is something I've been working through for a long time. That is just like I didn't know what was going on with me, and I didn't know what to call it. And so I like take a bunch of tests. I started going to therapy, and I would just start noticing that I would be going to church and it would just be like I just did not want to go into church, and so I would just sit in the parking lot and just wait for the church to end, and then I'd go back home. And I just
About
did.
how old were you at this
It was
time?
probably when I first started going to college, and so it was probably like 18, around there.
Okay.
um, yeah, it's kind of hard to get the timeline exactly right, but it was around there.
Okay.
And so I was just having a bunch of anxiety around that, and I couldn't figure this out. And then I was talking with my therapist, and she was like, you know what, you can actually decide not to go to church for a bit and just like take a break. And I was like, oh no, like Satan has a hold of her, like she's telling me not to go to church, that's not good. But then I was
Right.
like really thinking about it, and she's like, no, I'm not saying that church is bad, I'm not trying to convince you, I'm not trying to woo anything. I'm just saying that is an option if you're already not going to church
Throwing it out there.
intentionally,
Yeah.
type of thing. And so then I started like doing that, and then the missionaries would start calling me, and they're like, oh hey, we just like to go around and talk to people. And I was like, I know that you're actually just like calling me because I haven't gone to church. And
Yeah.
it was
You
like,
got on some list. Yeah.
yeah. And so it was just like in my mind, it's like it's not good to say no. For me, it was like a non-option for me. And so I was like, okay, I guess I have to talk to the missionaries now. And then they would be like, could you go post your testimony on Facebook? And I'm like, I don't even use Facebook. And it was like very uncomfortable. I
Wow.
didn't know how to say no on that. And so I'd like try to avoid the conversation. And
Uh-huh.
then working with my therapist, I started learning that it's like, no, I can say no. I can say I don't want to meet with you.
Yes.
And so I had that like long process. It was probably like a year-long process of me just like the first time they called, and I was just like, I'm gonna say no. And I called, and they're like, hey, do you want to meet? And I'm like, I
Huh?
I don't
Yeah.
want to do that. I don't want to do that. And they're like, are
Panic,
you
panic.
okay? Yeah, it was like, yeah, total panic. And I
I
started
mean,
getting
that is
tired.
not funny at all. Like that is, but that is so common that kind of experience. We just don't say no. And like, were you taught never to say no to a calling? Like
Yeah.
always accept when the bishop or anybody asks you to do something, always jump at the opportunity to serve. Like that's what
Mm-hmm.
we're supposed to do. And you don't want the missionaries to feel bad, like saying, no, I don't want to meet with you. Like, there's such deep grained conditioning to say yes to
Yeah.
everything. So what happened? You finally said no?
Yeah, that was like my first time. And sorry that I get off track a lot, but like that, this reminds me of a funny story. What you were saying is that my mom, she told me that one time then someone in the Relief Society came up to her, and they
Mhm.
said, do you want to meet with us on Tuesday to do indexing, or do you want to let your family suffer without these ordinances done, or something like that? And she was just like, she just
Wow.
looked at her, and she just like, no. And then she very intentionally like marked the one, I'm going to let my family suffer. And then she was like, handed it back and she's like, there you go. And then walked away. And I was like, yes.
Good job. Good job. Nice. She's a good example then. Yeah. I would
Yeah.
never have done that. Family suffer. Oh no, it's my responsibility. I'll clear my schedule, I guess. No, that's awful.
Yeah.
Okay, so you said no, and then
Yeah.
what
So I
happened?
started saying no, and that felt really good to like start doing that.
Yeah,
And so that
it's
kind
so
of happened.
healthy.
Yeah, I definitely feel like that was a very good thing for me to start learning how to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, and so then what happened is like I started identifying as an atheist because it just shocked me because like for the longest time I had just thought of it as this is something that's really interesting to me, and I feel like atheists have a lot to offer, and I feel like I just like listening to them because they've got some really great opinions, but like I'm not an atheist.
Uh-huh.
It's just like I just like what they're saying, and then after a
Yeah.
while it just like got to a point where it was like a snap point where I was like, I think I'm an atheist now.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
it's like, oh
I
no,
had
what do
that
I
too.
do about this? And then maybe a few weeks later, then the missionaries contact me again because they kind of like would just periodically contact me. And this time I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, you know what? What if I just say yes? Like, I think I could probably navigate this conversation better now. And I don't really know exactly like what drove me to do it. It was mostly just like it just kind of felt right.
Mhm. Yeah.
Because feelings are a great
Yes.
way to know truth, but like I was just like, you know what, maybe I'll do it, maybe I'll contact them.
But they
And
contacted you. They were
yeah,
asking to meet with you. It's not like you were
exactly,
seeking
yeah.
them out. Okay.
Yeah, so they contacted me, and I was just like, you know what, like I think what I want to do is I don't want to just like slump away, and like I'm going to be having to interact with my family, my cousins, my church. Like this is something that is a thing for me, so I'm going to have to figure something out with this. And so if I just like
Not going away.
if I just kind of like shrink away from it, this isn't a good strategy. And so I was like, I'm just going to see if I can just do it head on, and I'm just going to talk to the missionaries and say, you know what, I think I'm an atheist, and just like see where this goes
Uh-huh.
and see if I can have like a clean break, or I want to like maintain relationships. I want to like not be this like angry ex-Mormon stereotype
Right.
that everyone thinks.
Yes. You're
And
in a
so
cult. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And
Joseph
so
Smith's a pedophile. All the things. Yeah. Yeah.
right,
It
yeah.
doesn't work. It doesn't help. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I had that conversation, and immediately there was like, oh, tell us what you heard about. Did you hear about like what is it so we can fix it? And I was like, no,
We can
no, I'm
fix
not. I'm not
it.
looking to fix it. I'm just
That's
letting you
adorable. Yeah.
know. Like, just trust me, we can fix it. And then they're like, okay, well, let's meet
Yeah.
with you next time. Do you want to meet with us next time? And so it was just like it started with that, and then my whole thing was just like it was just so much confusion. I was just like
Yeah.
trying to navigate this because I just didn't even know. And so I was just like I started recording the conversations just so I could like revisit them and be like, what am I trying to do here? What are they
Yes.
saying? Why is it that I'm getting so confused? Because I would just like get brain stalled over and over and over again, where they would like ask me questions, and I'm just like, I'm not sure if I want to be going down this route of asking questions. What do I say? What do I say here? What do I say there? Like, why is it that I keep feeling slimed? Like, why is it that I feel like people are like why is it that like I would end the conversation and felt like patronized, and I would feel like
Right.
talked down to, and it was just like I just was a humiliating experience. And
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out like how to flip that, and if I wanted to even continue having these conversations. So I'd record and I would think about it, and I would like watch Street Epistemology videos, and like
Mhm.
I started reading like books on communication and stuff because I was just really
Oh,
trying to figure
yeah.
this out.
Yeah, that was my next question too. What did you know about street epistemology by this point? Did you learn about SE before you started meeting with them? And that kind of helped?
I think it was
Or
about at the
was
same
it
time.
after?
I think I was first familiar with
During?
Anthony um long before, probably like, well, not long before, like maybe a year or two before.
Mhm.
And it was just like I didn't know, I didn't recognize him as like the word street epistemology. It was just like he was just one of the
Oh,
atheists. And I was like, wow,
yeah,
this guy's
yeah,
like really nice. I really like this guy. He's really nice. That was about it.
yeah.
And then I started I'm not sure what triggered this, but like eventually it was near the point when I was talking with the missionaries again that I really started like digging into the community. I found the Discord, and I started interacting with the Discord, and I was like, oh,
Yeah.
this is like a thing. Like this isn't just one guy who just happens to be more nice,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this is actually
Yeah.
a community. And so I started getting
Community.
involved with that.
That's cool. So let me ask you before we go off on talking about the missionaries more, what is your definition of street epistemology? What is it to
Um,
you?
yeah, I think that for me, I try to like I don't like getting too like bogged down by the definition, because like I feel like for me I just want to say like what is it that I want to be doing here, and then using whatever tools are at my disposal to do my goals, because like my goal changes with every conversation. And so I feel like if I get too like stuck in, am I doing street epistemology right, am I doing this
Right.
correctly, then it's like it just distracts me. And so I feel like I see street epistemology as like, I can go but with whatever definition they use. But for me, it's more just like I just want to learn the tools for better communications and having better conversations.
Hmm.
And then from there, I just like say I'm going to apply them here and into my
Yeah.
situation. And so I would say that like for me, my goal generally, like my broad goal, um, is Jonathan Haidt. He has something called emergent truth that I feel like I really connect with, where it's like we collaboratively come to truth through conversation, through like productive conversation. And so I feel like when I'm talking with someone, generally my goal is to figure out like where are the places that they have strengths in that I can pull from them, and then where are the places that I have strengths that I can offer to them. Like how can we collaboratively like offer each other our own strengths through this conversation, and not get so stuck on what I think this person's weaknesses are, and be like, no, you're wrong here, you are wrong here. Just like offer my thing up, and then take whatever I can get from them, and hopefully we can like both
Yeah.
move towards truth together.
Yeah. What do you think about maintaining rapport and the idea of building and maintaining rapport?
Yeah,
Do
I
you
think I'm
actively
definitely,
try to do that?
yeah, I think very much. I think that I tend to be a little uncomfortable with the word rapport because it feels too mechanical to me. Because
I
I
get
feel like if I'm like talking to someone like, yeah, I'm going to try to develop some rapport with you, it just sounds weird. Like,
that.
it's not how people talk. But I think the sentiment, I'm definitely like, it's probably my primary goal. I'm not sure if it's my primary
Yeah.
goal. It's kind of hard to say, but like I think it's important.
Yeah, are you the kind of person, you seem like this to me, like the kind of person that naturally builds rapport like with people kind of easily anyway? Is that like something you do naturally? Does that come easily to you?
Yeah, I definitely think so.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think similarly, like I'm someone who, I guess it's kind of like a chameleon effect. Like I find that when I'm talking with someone, I almost forget what I even believe myself, because I'll just like shift to like I'll be thinking things, I'll be thinking of the conversation through their eyes, and
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh yeah, that's totally a good point. I totally believe that. And then after I leave the call, I'll stop and be like, wait a second, I didn't actually believe that. but it just sounded so right when I was talking with this person. And then when I
Uh-huh.
talk to another person, as I see it from their perspective, I'm like, yeah, that totally makes
Right.
sense. Yeah, that totally makes sense. And that totally makes sense. Like everyone makes sense when I talk to them.
Half the time. Yeah. Yeah, I do that too. Like I go into like curiosity mode and then I just like I want to understand what's going on here. Like and their reasoning, I can kind of understand where they're coming from, even if it's some off the wall weird idea or whatever. Like I try to just look at it how they are, flip it around, even if it's something totally that I would never agree with, like probably maybe I've looked into it and already decided that it's not my thing or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, just that curiosity like
Hmm.
helps to get to just have a natural conversation with somebody that you may or may not have differing viewpoints on. So that's a lot of fun. Okay, my next question. Are you ready for the next one?
Yeah.
It's about consent. What about the idea of getting consent with talking to the missionaries? Like, what was that like before you decided to meet with them? And like, what did you disclose to them beforehand? All of that stuff, goals.
Yeah. Yeah. So initially, like I started recording just because I was trying to figure out like why, like I was just trying to like figure out why I was getting into mental stall mode. Like, how is it that like I could improve this conversation just for myself? And then as time went on, then I was like, you know what? I could like, I feel like I'm navigating these conversations better than I was at the beginning. And I could probably like post some of these and see what the group thinks. And so at that point, then I tried to explain to them that it's like, about what the Street Epistemology group is. And I kind of explained it that, like, from my perspective, like, my goal is that it's like, I feel like conversations go so poorly and the world is so deep, it's just so polarized. And I just want to like build bridges and like understand people's perspectives and have some better conversations. And so that's kind of how I explained this to them, is like, this is kind of my motivation for this group. And and one of the things that we will do is we'll like post like example conversations, like how we can have productive conversations with each other. And I was wondering if I could post this, or some of the videos I've recorded, if I could post some of those. And they're like, oh yeah, totally. Like, we were trying to get this message out. So if you want to like send this all out to this group, it's like, cool, like spread the message around. That's awesome. do our job for us, type of a thing. Like, that seems to be how they reacted to it. And so that's kind of how I went about that, is I tried to, like, as clearly as possible, like, say where I'm, what this group looks like, what I'm like looking to send this to, you know, like, and try to like make it as transparent as I could.
Yeah. How many times did you meet with them?
I feel like it's got to be like 8 at least.
Oh, so quite a few.
Yeah.
Did you post all 8?
No, I've only posted 2. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Only those 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Was it the same elders every time? Same missionaries?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're in town long enough to meet 8 times.
Yeah,
that's a lot of time.
Actually, now that I'm saying that out loud, then the first like 2 times, then like the first time, then the one of the missionaries there left, and then they had 2 brand new missionaries, and they both left, and then after that, then it was the same ones across.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that would be normal, pretty much.
Yeah.
Do you know why they said they couldn't meet with you anymore?
Yeah, so what they said was that they were wanting to meet with people who were like ready to hear the gospel, which like I was not, like, I was kind of hurt by that phrasing. But I think what they were getting at is that they felt like the conversations that we were having were more like a fun conversations, rather than like a bringing people to the gospel type of a thing. Like, they're trying to find the people who are like interested, like, I want to hear the gospel, I want to read the scriptures, and I want to like have this spiritual experience and then join the church. And it seemed like they were getting the sense that I wasn't in, like, that wasn't my thing, you know. I wasn't like I had already had this spiritual experience, and so like I wasn't their audience, I guess. It seemed to me like that's kind of what they had decided.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think that's what happened when the missionaries were visiting me as well. So I told them right off the bat, I told them right off the bat, you know, I don't believe in any gods, but I'm happy to have conversations. I've got questions we can talk about. And they just stopped coming, probably the same reasons. Because at first they were like the same thing, where they're like, well, what are your issues with God? Are you angry with God? Did he let you down? Like, what's the problem? We can fix these things. Let's focus on here, read these scriptures, here, do these things. And after several meetings, it's like, okay, this woman is just she's not buying what we're selling here. It's just not working after a while. So they stopped coming, but it's probably the same thing. But I wonder also, because I know some missionaries are not allowed to be on camera or be recorded. Because I asked if I could audio record, and they said no. So I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder why it was different for these people. Yeah, I wonder.
Maybe they didn't ask.
Maybe that's true. Like, maybe I was just like, hey, you want to record? And they just didn't see anything wrong with it. And if they had asked, then maybe it would have been a problem.
Yeah, that's weird. So what stood out to you? Do you have any interesting thoughts or something that they said that I don't know what the question I'm exactly trying to ask, like, that resonated with you, that like made you feel the Spirit? Did they?
I think it's really difficult to feel the Spirit when you're feeling patronized.
Did you feel patronized?
I think I often did feel that way. Like, I'm not sure if that's the right word. But I guess it just felt like, I feel like
Patronized?
people
What's
don't
the word?
understand what it's like to be atheist. I feel like
Hmm.
I feel like they think that they're helping a certain mark that's an atheist in their head, and it's just not me. And so it's really difficult to like, I don't know, like I feel like it's just like this disconnect that is really hard to get past. And I feel
Yeah.
like you feel the spirit when it's like you are feeling connected and you're in community and stuff like that. And so I feel like a lot of times I feel like it's really difficult to feel the spirit in that type of disconnect, like
Yeah. Did you
altogether
ever
disconnect.
have the conversation about what the definition of an atheist is? Like, because they might be using their understanding of atheist versus your understanding of atheist.
Yeah,
Maybe
not
not
that
quite.
specifically. But I do feel like I feel like the conversations, like as they went on, I feel like it was better. Like I feel like I started having much more enjoyable time talking with them as time went
Mhm.
on, and they started understanding that it's like, oh, like Mark's actually got some really interesting feedback and that he's actually a pretty good person, like
Yeah.
like I feel like they started expressing some more like appreciation, that's like, wow, you've got some cool like integrity right there. Like they would call something out, and I really appreciated that. um
I think that was
and
surprising to them to see like you do have values and morals and but you're still an atheist, but you also seem to be a good person and he's nice and you have and I wonder if they have like a little bit of cognitive dissonance just trying to wrap their head around a good person can be an atheist as well.
yeah,
They
I
did
think
have
there's,
to yeah,
go ahead. Okay,
they
yeah.
did have to sorry. Sorry. They had the moments of where they were like trying to comprehend and they were listening and like appreciating and the aporia was there, like they were thoughtful about what you were saying. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, like one of the things that I noticed is that like something that was really difficult for them, it seemed, was trying to reconcile like the fact that I'm an atheist with I'm still attending church type of a
Mm,
thing. And I think that's probably that might just be like a confusing thing for like a lot of people. Like I'd imagine that there might be atheists out there that also might find that confusing. But like for them, there was like, what the heck? Like you don't believe in God and you're still attending church? Like why are you still even interested in this? And then I could kind of like, in my mind, it seemed like what they were kind of, the wheels turning in their head were like, oh, it's like he doesn't believe, but like he still has this spiritual connection, and like there's still like this part of his soul that really wants this, and so let's just build
mhm.
on that. And it was just like, no, no,
Right,
don't go there, type
right.
of thing. And it was like they kept on like finding like different ways of explaining this that like fit within their narrative, because like they believe their
Mhm.
narrative is true. And so I could like kind of watch them like pull out different things, and it would kind of like shift around. And
Right.
yeah, so that was kind of interesting to watch that happen.
Yeah, well, how many times have you heard on atheist experience or even in like testimony meeting, like I was an atheist, I was a devout atheist for 10
Yeah.
years, and then I finally found Jesus and found the truth. And I wonder if they're just looking for a story like that, that they just have to find the right puzzle piece to go in that spot where that God-shaped hole in your heart is.
Yeah, I think that's exactly how I felt about it too. Like it definitely looked like to me that's what was going on in their head. Is that they're
Mhm.
kind of like this is a situation where we just need to find the thing where it pulls them
The
back in.
right thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Rather than realizing that you used logic, reason, and understanding to get to that point and it wasn't emotionally based and they can't just emotion their way to that reason anymore like a lot of us did for so many years. Um, how are you doing with time? You okay? You have
I'm good. Yeah.
okay. We can keep going a little bit longer.
Yeah, I've got plenty of time.
Okay. Did you have any good SE questions that you just really felt good about as they're coming out and liked their response? Anything that can stand out in your mind?
Huh. I feel like there definitely are some, but nothing comes to mind at the moment.
Hmm.
Um, Yeah, I mean, I like the outsider test. I feel like that's really helpful. Excuse me. I feel like something that I guess it's kind of an SC question, but I learned this Cosmic Skeptic where like he really talks about it where it's just like it just is true that like if I want to learn truth, I want truth, and so like because it's like that is true, then I can like get into that mental space that is like what is it that I would need to learn to change my mind type of a thing. And then I just like ask those questions sincerely. So it's not like a gotcha questions, right? Like,
Right,
that's
right.
like kind of one way I try to avoid that is like, what is it like? What is my sincere confusion here? And like phrasing things like try to articulate it that way. That it's like, I'm not seeing this connection here. I don't see how these things are could like to say like I believe it because of faith. I just don't understand how that could be a valid thing to say. And then I like use an analogy of like imagine if I just said that I believe that there's an invisible cat in my lap because I have faith. Like I don't understand why that works. And do you see why that doesn't make sense? Like that type of a thing of just like
Mhm.
trying to express my confusion in a few different
Right.
ways. And then like having an outsider test, I feel like was helpful. That it's like if I'm trying to decide what's right, then it's like, let's imagine that the Muslim comes up here and they give me the Quran and and they are giving me the same arguments and you're giving me the same arguments. Like, how does this work in this situation? And I feel like asking those types of questions.
Right.
I think I found those to be helpful.
Yeah. I found that too when I was talking to the missionaries at my house. I would say stuff like, okay, a couple weeks ago, I was talking to a Jehovah's Witness couple missionaries, and they were telling me very similar things. And they were telling me, they gave me their book, their little booklet, and they were saying, pray and have faith. And how can somebody tell which one of you has more truth? Because that's kind of what I'm interested in. And of course, they go into, well, the scriptures say this and Book of Mormon, and you can find out for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Don't take their word for it. Pray about this. And so they have their comebacks their automatic go-to phrasing, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder if like that's one of those things. Well, I know it was for me, but like months or years down the road, that might stick with them as a thinking point. I don't know. I don't know. Is your
Yeah.
goal at all? Or were you going to say something? Did I
Oh,
interrupt
I
you?
just said yeah.
Is your goal at all to strip them of their faith and pull out the rug from under their feet?
No. Yeah, I think that sometimes like I think at the start, then I definitely felt very like insecure in my like I just yeah I felt very insecure in my beliefs, and so I was just like I need to like I felt this need to like convince them because it's like then it's like if I can like have a conversation with them and tell them like why I believe what I believe, and then they go, wow, you know what, I'm gonna stop being a Mormon now, then it
Right.
was like then that would like confirm that like I've got this truth. and
Yes.
and I found that like that just wasn't good. Like it just wasn't a good way of approaching this, and it wasn't like I needed to um be more like learn how to like be more comfortable in the uncertainty rather than like trying to pull other people in with me to make me feel more
To
comfortable type of a
confirm what you
thing.
believe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I feel like for me, I try to like spend a few minutes beforehand, like just reconfirming my goal. Like my goal is not to convert them. My goal is not to convert them. My goal is to just try to understand. Um, I feel like if I end the conversation with me learning something, then it's good. Then it's like I can say that I've gotten something from this. And so I feel like for me, then my goals are like I want to practice communicating clearly. So that way, like if I ask a question, they're like, I just don't even get that question. Then I feel like, okay, how do I communicate that question better? So it's like more clearly articulated. I think learning how to do that is a goal for me. So and I think probably the second one is more just trying to figure out like what if I can find anything that I can pull from them that's valuable, because I think that really anyone, I
Right.
can talk with anyone, and I feel like you can pull something valuable from insights from people. And then
Totally. Yeah.
yeah, and so I think that's probably another goal. And then um I lost the third one. Well, I'll go with those two. I think those two
Yeah,
are some goals. And I kind of just like cycle through a few, like like just think about this a lot. I try to like beforehand, just like really think through like, what is my goal? What is my goal? Is this a good goal? Is this a good goal? You know? And then I have the
second
conversation. Like, how did
guessing.
that go? Did I stick to my goal there? You know?
Yeah, yeah. So how did learning and studying street epistemology help your conversations improve? Or did it?
I feel like I think it definitely has. I think, let's see, I like the idea of looking at like how people came to truth, like the reasons rather than like the thing itself. I feel like that's a really big deal for me, that it's like just trying to skip the argument and be like, why do you think that? And like break down like, how did this person come to this conclusion? I feel like it just really has helped me with just any conversations to make it like calm down, and also like it gets people to see things from a different perspective. Like just arguing the point itself just doesn't even make anyone change or like or progress or anything like that. And I feel like when I analyze reasoning, then it's like there's so much more give that can happen in both directions. Like both of us can gain something from it.
Right. How are you at debate as opposed to SE? Like,
I don't like debate. I think I remember I had a speech class and I had a debate, and I just got so flustered through it because I just like didn't like, it just feels almost like rude to me to be debating someone, even though it's like it's planned out and we're gonna debate. And then it's like I was like in the middle of the debate, I was just like making my points, and then I stopped and I was like, I don't want to say this is mean. And then I was like, you know what, you made a good point. And then I kind of just like stopped the debate, and they're like, okay, thank you. I guess I did make a good point. And then it was like, okay,
right.
stop that down.
No.
I don't want to fight.
That's funny. That's how I am too. And it seems like a lot of people who don't like street epistemology love the debate aspect and like love throwing out the facts to people. And they want that kind of combative interaction, hopefully on a nice kind of way, in a way, but like my facts, your facts. Let's get down to, and that's fine. Like it's just a totally different style, but I think that's really where the value of street epistemology comes in. It gives people like us who don't like arguing, or maybe we're conditioned that contention is of the devil or whatever. Like we just, well, I never got good at it because I never practiced it. I just kind of went along with things. But it's been really a good tool for me to learn just how to ask questions and then maybe challenge a little bit with the questions and just push things a little more rather than uh, debating. So I think that's where it has come in handy for me and other people who, which is part goes back to part of my goals with street epistemology is to help other people learn these same techniques and to other people who don't really like debating maybe, but to have skills to have these difficult conversations and to elevate the level of conversation so we're not afraid to have that not combative discord, but just a you clearly disagree with somebody, you can either avoid, that's kind of what my family does, we just, well, let's talk about the weather or roller skating or something else, or you can ask questions. So it's kind of a nicer, kinder, gentler way to disagree with somebody.
Yeah, I definitely relate with that.
With keeping, and you can still keep your harmony in a lot of ways. And I think people really like talking about what they believe and what they think. And like, and if somebody's curious about them particularly and asking, they're asking me questions. They want to know my opinions, my thoughts, my ideas on these things. And it's kind of fun to talk about for a lot of people. So I love that aspect about it too. And that people have so many different viewpoints and views and ideas. And I love learning all about that too.
Yeah.
Were you going to add something there? No?
No.
No, you're good. Okay. Back to the missionaries. I get sidetracked. I was going to ask you also, what was the other one? Would you continue to meet with the missionaries if they would be willing to?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely would. I have actually contacted another set of missionaries.
It seemed like
And
they enjoyed having the discussions. So
yeah,
it wasn't
yeah,
about,
I'm so sad about it because it's just like I really like talking with those people. Like I feel like I got to a point where I feel like they yeah, it was just like we had a lot of just really good like relationship going. We were like laughing and we like knew a lot about
Yeah.
each other and stuff, and it was really fun talking with them. And it's just like yeah, it was really sad that they decided that is like wasn't in line with their goals. And so I mean I'm impressed with boundary setting. Like I feel like that's often a difficulty within the church. And so I feel like that was something I was like, you know what, like they set that boundary pretty good. Like they didn't shy away from it, they didn't make an excuse, they didn't like make something up, you know, like they just said like, hey, this isn't our
Yeah.
mission and we love the conversation, but we're going to have to stop. And it's like, wow, that was like really, in my mind, I think that's a good win for boundary setting. So so happy about that, but I am really disappointed about the conversations had to end with that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Because that's what makes me wonder if somebody told them to not continue, or maybe they just are kind of cracking down on focusing on teaching people about Jesus who are wanting to learn about Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know if someone told them to, but like I got the impression that it was their decision. Like just the way like I could like just like just my impression is definitely seemed like they had been talking about this and they were like looking at each other and like, yeah, this is what we agreed on. It sounded like, and it seemed
Yeah,
very much like they were just like really passionate about um like they just had a mission. They were like they had like their goals and they was like, this isn't in line with their goals, and they just talked about it and they were like just trying to set down that boundary. It seemed very much them
good,
oriented
good for
from
them.
my
Yeah.
mind.
And hopefully you did the pebble in the shoe, and maybe they'll contact you one day. Do they have your contact information if they ever want
They've
to?
been texting me, so I
Oh,
don't
okay.
know if
Have your phone number.
yeah, hopefully I don't know if they have if they'll keep my number because I think that it's a mission phone,
Oh,
so I don't
right.
know what's going to happen with that, but I think they have my number.
Yeah, I gave the missionaries in my area my email so they can contact me, and I said, give it to the other guy because they switch companions. I've
Okay.
never heard anything from any of them, but if they ever want to, I would love to talk to any of them at any time. They're just sweet kids. Okay, back to
Mhm.
Jesus. This picture of Jesus, tell me about the picture of Jesus that they showed you. It was like
Yeah,
right towards the end of your, I wish I had a clip of it. I would show it right now, but
yeah, it was a picture of Jesus holding a lamb. I'm not sure if you're familiar with like I'm sure you've seen it before, but I'm not sure if that was description was enough to trigger that memory.
yeah, I didn't know which one. Is it
Okay.
the like pencil drawing one, maybe?
No,
'Cause there's a couple different.
yeah, I'm not sure how to describe it other than that.
Okay.
It, yeah,
It's a
yeah,
painting,
yeah, it was a painting.
one of the famous ones that's
Yeah, I
hanging
think
in
it's on
church
Preach My
buildings.
Gospel, actually. I think that's no, not Preach My Gospel. That was a baptism on Preach My Gospel. Um,
Oh,
yeah, I'm not
yeah,
sure.
it's okay. Well, can you describe it?
Yeah, it's difficult to describe it beyond Jesus holding a lamb. So he's like he's holding it and then like he's looking at the lamb.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
He's
I'm
wearing like the red robes?
no, white robe. It was a white robe.
White robe.
He kind of have
Oh,
like a red beard and hair ish, like brownish red.
okay.
I think probably brown is probably closer.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
yeah.
One of the famous ones, nonetheless.
Yeah, I
So,
think it was a pretty
okay.
famous one.
All right. So they pulled it out, and what did they say?
I'm trying to remember exactly, but I think I think he just asked,
Summarize as
what
far as.
is this? Or who is this, I think.
Uh,
What do you see here in the picture or something like that? And it was just like I was really struggling to respond because it's just like if someone, it seems like an obvious rhetorical question, and so it's like I was just like,
yeah.
that's Jesus and he's holding a lamb, and then I was just like, that sounds dumb. So then it's like I feel like I just like dissed Jesus right there by like not being a little more emotional about that analysis, but it's like I don't know what else you want from me. And so then I was like,
You
um
answered the question literally. Yeah.
yeah, so I like answered that question, and then I was like, that sounded like heartless. So let me like back up a bit and be like, you know what? This is like he's very meaningful. It's a very meaningful like story. If it is a story, like this is really connecting to people. And you know, and I like kept on like trying to go
Yeah.
on that path. And it's like I'm trying not to be disrespectful here. But like I'm not sure what you were looking for when you asked that question.
Yeah. How did they respond after that?
Um,
Did you give the correct response they were hoping for?
I think I think what he was hoping for is kind of what you were saying in the Discord, is that it's like he was trying to like evoke he was trying to bear his testimony and like evoke a spiritual impression in me. You know, like I feel like they probably, so this was actually the new guy. The people I've been talking to, I feel like they were probably uncomfortable with the route he was going, because they had already like gotten familiar with me, and this guy was like new to this,
Yeah.
and this is his first time talking with me. And so I think for him it was like a shock that we were like, my guess is that there's like I was talking in a way that they're probably not familiar with talking people. You know, like I'm talking kind of like really breaking this down, trying to get my language clear. And it's like, if it kind of falls into this guy's like being too like in his head about this. And so it seems like he was uncomfortable with that. And so he probably pulled out the picture to be like, let's get this back on track, and like in
Back
spirit.
to emotions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. There's like let's take a deep breath and just like let's just connect to the spirit,
Yeah.
and like build this testimony that way, and like
Yes.
get out of your head, stop asking questions, like get back to the feelings.
You're
You know?
overthinking things.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was my impression. That was what he was trying to do. He seemed very uncomfortable, and then he kind of like pulled this out. Seemed to me.
Right. Kind of like a last attempt to reel you in with the spirit somehow. Did that work? Are you an
Yep,
active
I'm a
member
member
now?
now.
Yay. Going on a mission,
It turns
getting your
out all
mission
I had to
papers
do was
in.
look at a picture of Jesus. So
I didn't see that before. If only someone had pointed it out, maybe. Yeah. What's in your future, Mark?
um I I really like street epistemology. I'm not sure. I feel like I see it more like as a tool, so I don't really know what that looks like for me. I feel like what I'm really interested in is just like really just like building my communication skills, reading books, like just trying to like self-improvement, just working on that. And hopefully when opportunity shows up, then I can be like, oh, that sounds perfect with like my skill set, and I can jump into that.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is definitely a route I would be interested in going down. I feel like I really like talking with people. I really like just doing something that like changes the world for the better, you know, just like doing something meaningful. And I feel like some of the things that are super interesting to me is religious belief and like political polarization. Like I feel like those two are
Yeah.
issues that I'm specifically interested in. And I feel like I really try to work at having conversations so that way, like that, so that decreases that, I guess. Like and I feel like yeah, I feel like that's something that I'm really interested in getting more involved in, but I'm not sure exactly where that niche would fit to like be optimally used, other than just like talking with people and continuing posting on YouTube. I feel like there's probably a lot of different options to go with that. And so
Yeah,
I'm
for
still kind
sure.
of figuring that out.
Yeah, what about with family members or friends, maybe who are active or more active? Do you like throw in questions here and there?
Yeah,
And
I'm trying to be like especially cautious with my family, because it's like I don't want to pull my family into like a project, you know, like they're my I want to maintain family relationships as family relationships, and not
right,
be like, hey, I'm gonna talk, like I'm gonna talk with you to like, even if it's like slightly implied that it's like
mhm,
I'm doing this for the sake of like trying to change your mind, then it's just like I just don't even want to go there. So I'm trying to like keep
right,
that very separate because if I'm talking with
yes,
missionaries, if I end up going there, then it's like, you know what, like they're just friends and they're going to move on, and to a transfer, it's probably not going to affect them that much. So I feel like I'm safer in that territory.
yeah.
I'm trying to be very
Have,
careful with family
have
relationships.
your families, any of your family members seen your videos with the missionaries?
They haven't. One of the things, yeah, I think for that, then like one of the things I've been trying to think through is like, I want to be making a video such that if family were to listen to it, then I wouldn't be uncomfortable with that,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, because I don't want this to be like a hidden thing. Yeah, I want it to be like I'm hiding this on the side. And so I try to like be aware that it's like, if someone were to walk in, would they be comfortable with what I'm saying? And then like they just for my own integrity, you know, like I don't want to be saying something that's like behind someone's back. But I think that sending a video to a person is a bit different, you know, because there's
Yes.
an implication behind that. And so I actually have like sent some of these videos to family members, my sister is on her mission. I sent a video to her, and
Did
and
she
I
ask for it
so we were
or
talking.
express interest?
Yeah. So I'm not actually sure if that was a good decision or not. But the thing is, I we were talking about this topic. I was talking about street epistemology and how I'm excited about this because it's like this is a big part of my life, and so I try to just for connections, like this is a part of my life, and and so I guess I sent it out in that. Yeah, I don't know how to. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what to describe the motivation there, but but that happened, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
And
it's case by case, right? You're not going
yeah,
to do
exactly.
a shotgun approach, just send it to everybody and, hey guys, you need to do this. And I
Right,
found for my
the
family,
balance I'm trying
yeah,
to keep is that it's like I guess again, it's just I don't want to be hiding this. Like this is a part of my life, and I want to be open about it, but I don't want to be pushing it out. And so I'm trying to be very are you interested? Like we were just talking about this. Are you interested in this for the sake of finding out what I'm doing? This is something, and
right.
I would like your feedback. I would love your feedback. I think you probably have some great feedback because she's on her mission, and so it's that would be
Oh
awesome to hear
yeah.
her feedback and her thoughts. But if I'm doing this as a hint hint, then it's that's a no-go for me.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And certain family members are probably more open and willing to discussing things than others, if they're anything like mine. Like I like to talk about it too, and some of them will say, "Oh, that's an interesting idea. That sounds cool. That's neat that you're doing that." And that's where it ends. And I
Mhm.
don't push it and I don't bring it up, and but I'll say, "Oh, I have I'm meeting and doing some street epistemology stuff this weekend," or if they ask me what I'm doing or what I've been doing for fun lately. It's
Mhm.
kind of a hobby, but I think my family members aren't really that interested in learning any more about it, but that's fine. Like I'm not gonna, that's not one of my goals is to
Yeah.
push it on anybody. So I totally get that. Um, I was gonna ask you something else and now I forgot because I keep talking too much. What was the other thing? I don't remember now.
It sounds
Something
like
you
you're
said
all
was really interesting, and then I was gonna, oh yeah, I gotta ask him about that, but now I don't recall. Oh, your future. Something about your future. Talking to family members and getting more involved in SE. That's what I was gonna ask you. Like, what are your SE plans for coming up? Are
um
there any?
yeah. Excuse me. I'm talking with this another set of missionaries. I haven't talked with them about I haven't planned on posting. I'm still talking with them, and so I
Mhm.
want to wait until there's clear consent, and also I'm not even sure if I want to post these. I feel like I've posted a few, and I don't know. I'm still on on the decision for what I want to do with with talking with them. Um,
And
uh,
do you have a YouTube channel?
I've got a YouTube channel, but my videos are the ones that are published are public
Uh,
are videos I've made for music. So I've got some piano covers
okay.
I've written.
Okay.
And then for the SE stuff, I just keep those unlisted. So because I'm someone who is very much raised in I don't have social media accounts. I mean, I don't
Uh-huh.
have Facebook accounts. I've got YouTube. That's the only one, and
Okay.
it's very much on the down low. Where we've always been low technology. We had a rule for a long time that we don't watch TV.
Oh, yeah.
And we never we didn't own video games. It was very much our family culture. And so I get very uncomfortable with getting too public
Right.
on some
Right.
stuff. And so I'm trying to be careful with I feel a little more comfortable leaving those unlisted for the moment, and then as I
Right.
decide, then I'll decide how much I want to do that, I guess.
I'm just wondering, like, if anybody is watching this and they want to get a hold of you, or they have questions for you, or would like to see your videos, could they contact you through Discord? Would that
Yeah, I think
be
that'll probably be the best.
probably the best
Yeah.
way?
Yeah.
Would you be comfortable saying your name on
Yeah.
Discord?
On Discord, it's MS Garner 18, and then in parentheses Mark.
Okay. And that's probably the best way to get a hold of you if anybody wants to.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, because I think your videos are really good. And I think you should keep doing it. I'm a
Thank
I'm a
you.
fan. So keep it up. And I think you're right. Like it does make the world a better place. Like these kinds of conversations make things better. And they don't have to change people's minds, but just helping people ask the questions and ask good questions is so valuable and so needed. And I wasn't taught it, my kids weren't taught that, so now we got to play catch up with all the anybody who's curious about truth and wants to learn good ways and reliable ways to come to closer to truth, maybe not absolute truth, I don't even know if that exists, but to come closer to truth. So Mark, thanks for meeting with me today. Do you have any final thoughts or any words of wisdom you want to bestow upon anybody who's watching this right now?
I'm not sure how many words of wisdom I've got.
Not to
Yeah,
put
I
you on the
really appreciate
spot or anything, but
Yeah,
come
yeah,
up with something clever and wise. No,
yeah.
just
It's funny.
any final thoughts, ideas, anything else we didn't touch on that you wanted to hit on?
Yeah, I can't think of anything. I really enjoyed talking with you. I think it was really cool.
Yeah, this has been really great. And if you do post more videos in the future, will they be on Discord?
Probably, yeah. That's probably where I'll
Okay.
be posting them.
Do you think that will happen at some point?
I'd imagine at some point, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have to figure out. I don't have any current plans, but
Mhm.
it's something I'm interested in continuing going forward. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also want to get into more the panel discussion with other LDS members, active ex-members, just about using street epistemology with family members and friends, particularly, and why that is so difficult to do. I mean, not even like hardcore street epistemology where you follow the rules and everything, but just sometimes asking questions can be really difficult and without causing weird feelings between you. So
Yeah.
it can be tough. And well, I imagine that's with any conservative religious type dynamic group. So lots more to talk about in the months and years and stuff to come. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, so thanks for meeting with me today. Subscribe to my channel, The Road to Reflect. I can't even talk. The Road to Reflection. I've been at work all day. I'm tired. That's my excuse.
Oh.
But thanks, Mark. It's been fantastic. Really appreciate it. So
You too. I'll have to subscribe to that channel.
yeah, looking forward to hearing more from you. And I am going to end the recording here. So say
Okay.
goodbye.
Bye.
Okay. Did that end the recording? I don't see the record thing on anymore, but
It says recording still on the top left.
oh, it does, doesn't it? Okay, I know how to do this.